This is Tim with Death by Music, and I'm talking to...
Hey, this is Nolan from Kryptos. Great to be here, Tim. Thanks for the interview.
Awesome. I'm excited for this one, definitely. So, real quick, we talked about it before we were doing this, and I wanted to ask the first question. Who does your artwork, and who comes up with the artwork designs? Is it like something that you guys all collaborate and get together and do, or is it one guy to do it?
So, actually, it's a woman, and she goes up by the handle Subhuman Illustrations, and she's from Colombia. So we've worked with her before. She's done, single artwork for us. She's done the inlays for a couple of albums. She kind of listens to the same music that we do. She has the same mindset. So that's why we kind of went with her for the new album. And it was really easy. We just gave her the lyrics. We gave her a brief concept of what the album's about. And she knows what her influences are. And she did the entire album artwork from scratch. She drew it with a pencil and she sketched it out, filled in the colors. It was amazing, just seeing it come to life. And it was awesome because she combined all our influences together in that one piece of art. Like we have we take a lot of influence and inspiration from science fiction and space and things like that. Plus, our main musical influences like Judas Priest and Accept.
Oh yeah.
And she's combined all of that into this one stunning piece of art. And yeah, when we saw it, we were completely blown away.
So this is the fifth album that you've done over your span with the band and whatever like that. What makes this album different from the other albums?
So actually, this is our seventh album overall, but yeah, this is our fifth album with AFM Records.
Yep.
But and what actually makes this different from all the other albums is this is the first time we actually got a producer on board. So we got Jamie Elton from Sweden. He actually works with bands like Tribulation and Watain and a whole bunch of other bands. So we got him on board to produce the album, and it was really cool to have like an outside influence, give us inputs on our songwriting and the direction of the album as such. So that was the first time we actually got somebody apart from within the band to, give us feedback while the recording was going on, and and he kind of helped us out with new recording techniques and things like that. And what's really cool was, again, he also comes from the same mindset as us. He likes the same kind of music. So he managed to capture that feeling of, it's that 80s feeling, that classic heavy metal feeling. Because nowadays, when you listen to a lot of bands, the production is very modern, it's very digital. But, our album, it's still, we wanted to sound just like it used to sound back in the day. But at the same time, it's not so, it shouldn't sound so outdated that it doesn't fit in 2024. So he kind of balanced that tightrope really well. So I guess that's the biggest difference, because musically, it's just a continuation of what we've done on the last 2 or 3 albums. And we're just sonically taking it forward this time.
Absolutely. What little I have listened to it, I absolutely love it. What is your favorite song to play off the album?
Oh wow, that's a tough one. I guess Electrify is it. We recently completed our European tour and we played a bunch of songs from the new album. But Electrify went down really well. That was super fun to play. The crowd really got into it, especially, there's a breakdown in the middle of the song. There's just that heavy riff and, everyone starts chanting and, all the fists go up in the air. That's super awesome. It's like, it's kind of like bang in the middle of our set, and it really gets the crowd pumped for everything that comes after that.
And as far as the name of the album, who came up with the name of the album? Was it a joint collective, or is it something that you guys did individually?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, so how it works is, our lead guitarist Rohit, he pretty much writes most of the music, and I write all the lyrics. And he kind of and that's how we work. We kind of work as a team.
Right.
And so when I write the lyrics, and I just come up with all these names and all these words and things like that. And this particular song, the title track, Decimator, it's the heaviest song we've done in quite a while. So, while I was writing the lyrics, I was like, I kept thinking about this metal machine that, that's out in space and it's like literally decimating everything.
Right.
It's kind of like on the lines of what Priest did with, with Painkiller and Exciter and all these characters. So that's how Decimator came about. The word Decimator just popped into my head. I completed the lyrics and I was like, whoa, this would actually make a cool album title as well. So yeah, that's how it popped up.
What was your major influences growing up? Who influenced you to play music, and what was your first instrument you've ever got?
Oh wow. So the first instrument I ever got was a piano. I mean, my mom wanted me to learn an instrument, and she told me to learn the piano. I used to go for piano classes, but I hated it because it was so boring.
Yeah.
And but she was insistent. She said I need to learn how to play an instrument because she had big plans of me playing at weddings and things like that.
Oh wow.
So she was like, you got to learn something, got to learn the guitar or the drums or something. So I just decided, okay, I'll learn the guitar because it seems like less work. But then I absolutely love playing the guitar, and yeah, here we are. So yeah, initially what actually made me really get interested in playing the guitar was, I used to watch these back in the day when I was growing up. We used to rent out these video cassettes from a local video store.
Right.
And and I used to get all these concerts of Metallica and Maiden and Guns N' Roses. So I keep watching them over and over again, and like watching Hetfield live, and Dave Murray, Adrian Smith, Slash, whoever, and I was like, whoa, this is like, these guys are super cool, and the way they play and the attitude and everything. I always wanted to be that way. I love the music. I love the vibe of the entire thing. So yeah, those bands definitely influenced me to pick up an instrument.
I don't think that growing up, I think we were all influenced by the same kind of genre or the same kind of music. I know my grandfather, he had an acoustic guitar around the house, and I ended up, I had interest. I started playing. And then I realized I couldn't play as fast as those other guys, no matter how hard I tried. And I figured that I was a better rhythm guitarist than lead guitarist. But I don't know. With me, like I said before, and it sounds like with you, the same thing. It's like I watched videos. Like that's what I did, and that's what influenced me. I didn't really have a particular band that influenced me. Here's a good question. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money? What was it metal? What was it?
Yeah, that I can remember that. It was Defenders of the Faith by Judas Priest.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and that's still my favorite album of all time. So I still remember the day I bought it, because before I bought it, actually, a friend of mine let me borrow some of his cassettes. Like, he let me borrow some Maiden and AC/DC cassettes and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I need to get my own stuff. So of course I begged my folks, like, if I could get some money to buy some albums and stuff.
Right.
And I went to this cassette shop, and that guy told me, I just asked him, do you have any new, anything that might interest me? Do you have anything new in stock and stuff? And he's like, yeah, he got like a whole bunch of cassettes, and he pulled out Defenders of the Faith, and he's like, I'm sure you'll like this one. And I was like, of course, I love the artwork. That sold it for me. and I took it home, and man, that was the rest was history. I think I have like 5 versions of that album at home.
Okay,
on different format.
My uncle gave me, it was Iron Maiden Peace of Mind, and
man, that was the first album I ever heard.
Dude, it was like, I was like, what's this? And so he's just like, you can have it. And so, and I used to listen to his crap when, I was little. And
Yeah.
and he was playing the stuff, but I mean, I grew up like, people are like, oh, it's the 80s and 90s where I grew up, but it's like I really never got into like hair metal. I really never got into anything. I grunge a little bit, but I was always primarily metal. I was always primarily, death metal. Especially the band Death, and all this stuff, and Obituary and Deicide and whatever. But the thrash metal stuff to me was more like the Sacred Reich and the Atrophy I never understood, and I don't know if, and this is a dumb thing to talk about kind of, but I never understood like some hair metal bands I thought could be, if like Wasp, if they just would have, am I not wrong? If Wasp would have just played a little bit heavier, would they have ever been a hair metal band? Would they be like a am I wrong? Am I not wrong by saying
You're right. Wasp were actually way too heavy to be a hair metal band.
They are, but they were considered a hair metal band.
Exactly, yeah.
And they dress like that, yeah. But if Blackie Lawless didn't come out and skin tight leather and then showing his butt cheeks and whatever, and then he would like, I always thought that they could be like a, not like a death metal band, but kind of like if they were just a little bit heavier, they could be like a thrash metal band kind of.
They could have been like a speed metal band.
Yes.
Some of the fastest songs they have are like borderline speed metal.
They are, but they never did. They always were like the heavy. They were like wearing cowboy hats and doing stupid shit. And I'm just like, why would you do any of that? The potential's there, But what was the very first concert you ever saw live?
Oh, wow. So, that's the thing, when you're in India, you don't really get to watch many concerts.
That's why I asked the question.
But, but the first one I saw was in 2001. It was Deep Purple. They played in our city.
Yeah.
And that was a phenomenal concert because, of course, it was the first big band I ever saw. And second of all, the entire show was actually for charity. So, the tickets were like super cheap.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a massive crowd. And Deep Purple were amazing. And I got to meet them as well. That was incredible. So that was the first one. I'll never forget that because it was just completely magical from start to end. Because you never expect to, back then in India, you'd never expect bands like that to come here. And, also getting to meet them, that was pretty insane.
What advice would you give to other up and coming bands? With you being from where you're at, and to me, I would think that would be the hardest place to kind of like have a metal band. Yeah. But there's so many metal bands here in the States and all over the world. But what advice would you give them as far as expectations being realistic? What would you say to them as far as like getting a band started and then where to go from there to try to get discovered?
So the thing is, in this day and age, everything's at your fingertips. You don't really need to struggle that much to get your music out.
No.
So I would say the main thing is, of course, the most important and the main thing is to write good music. I see a lot of bands, even bands from India, and we know a lot of bands across the world. We've toured Europe many times, and we've seen a lot of local bands there. Plenty of bands are open for us. One thing I've noticed is a lot of the bands, they worry too much about everything else except their music. They worry too much about the equipment they have, how they look on stage, and all kinds of stuff, but the music doesn't match up. It's almost like music afterthought. So my advice is concentrate on writing good music first and foremost. It's exactly why all the old bands are where they are today. It's because they wrote good music back then. They wrote timeless music back then. Nowadays, you don't really see bands writing music that you would consider, classic, or you would consider timeless. Maybe 5 years from now, you probably wouldn't even remember 90% of it.
No.
But like you said, you could put on a piece of mind, and you can sing along to every single lyric and every melody and things like that. A lot of bands, yeah.
No, go on.
A lot of bands they don't really concentrate too much on writing good songs. They have a bunch of riffs, they stick them together, put out a video, dress up a certain way or whatever, and think that's pretty much it. But there's a lot of it's a lot more than that. Also, a lot of bands seem to be very. I think delusional is a pretty strong word, but they think they're entitled to so many things, when they haven't really done anything. I know so many bands who barely played 5 gigs. They've barely released a few songs, but they already think they're like superstars. And I'm like, what's up with that? What's with all the attitude and stuff? It's kind of bizarre.
It's if I'm not mistaken, I say this to my business partner all the time, and I say it to friends and colleagues. There's no foreplay in music. It's immediate gratification. They want to play the festival. All a band wants nowadays is they want to play festivals and they want to write music, but they write crappy music, and then they expect you to just take them in because, like, hey, here's an album, I pushed it out, and then it is what it is. And I don't think their expectations are realistic because they just want and they want and they want, and then they. I hate saying this, but it's like they've already invested 10 years of shitty time into this thing, and now they're like, well, I've already did 10 years, I've already done my time, and it's like, that's not how it works. You didn't really do anything, but you played in your garage and you've done stupid shit, and now that you hired somebody, they hire someone, and then they immediately think that, well, where's all the shit at? And it's like the only thing that the guy that they hired exposed them to the world, and now they're even more shittier than they were before because the guy or gal that they hired exposed them to who they are, of what they really are. So it's like you said, I think if they wrote really good music, and they focused in on the music and focused in on creating great artwork. That's another thing that I see a lot of times with bands. It's the shittiest fucking artwork that you could ever fucking possibly. They did it on their phone. Whenever you start doing Photoshop shit on your phone, then you might as well hang it up. Like, you just might as well just stop and just fucking forget it, because the artwork that you create on your album, you're not going to get that on your phone. That's not how that works. And you're going to have to hire a professional designer and a professional artist, and he or she is going to have to do that, and let the experts do what they need to do. And unfortunately, that's just how it's going to run. But to me, again, I think your music, I think this album is going to be phenomenal when it's fully released. I think it's really good. I don't know if I'll ever be able to see you guys live unless you come over to the States. That's another story for another day. It's just a shame. It's absolutely just criminal. Some of the bands that I've interviewed and meet, and they're stuck over in Europe, and I don't know if I'll ever see them over in the States. It's just, the music's so good, and the talent's there for you guys to be what you guys are. It just is what it is, it's very good. But where can everyone find your music at, and when is it being fully released?
So the album drops worldwide on July 5th.
Okay.
It's going to be on the AFM online store or you can get it on our Bandcamp. But it's being distributed by a whole bunch of other distro labels, so you can get it literally anywhere in the world. And if anyone wants to even get in touch with us, they can just hit us up on Facebook or Instagram, the usual stuff. And also our music's going to be available on all the streaming platforms. So yeah, it's going to be everywhere.
It's phenomenal. If people don't listen to this, you're massively missing out. You made a massive mistake. Like you can't fix this one. You got to listen to this album. This album's going to be good. One last question. I always do this question, but what is your go-to meal whenever you guys are touring Europe, and what is your favorite thing to eat?
Holy shit! When we tour, we stop at literally every gas station on the way. So it's always the same thing. It's just cold cuts and bread.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we can't really spend that much on tour because shit is expensive, so we kind of scrounge a bit. But yeah, every now and then if we get a chance, we have a good pasta or something somewhere, and if we find an Indian restaurant on the way somewhere, we just have some Indian food. Of course, it doesn't taste as good as back home, but make do. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much what we eat on the road. It's all fast food and mostly just junk food. Unless we go to like a lot of the venues we play at, they have great catering. So sometimes we get some really really good meals. Yeah. Do
you ever get backlash ever from the older generation over there?
Oh, it's actually the older generation that kind of likes our music over there, which is interesting. It's like everyone who's like in the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Yep.
They kind of like our music a lot more than the younger generation. Most of our gigs are, I would say at least 75% of the audience at our gigs are all older folk, They've all grown up with the same music we've grown up with. So they get what we do, which is awesome for us.
So
the cool thing is they bring the kids along with them. So they expose their kids to this kind of music early on. So it's pretty cool.
So the only one that shows up is the metal elitist lady outside. She's like, "There's some stuff." You're just like, what is going on? What are you doing? This is 2024. Stop doing that. You shouldn't be playing that.
We met some of those as well. We played a gig in I can't remember. Yeah, it was a town called Gopingen in Germany, and the gig got over. We were outside near our van. We were like just having a beer, and everyone's like hanging out. And this woman on the third floor, she starts screaming at us in German, like, get the fuck out of here, or she's going to throw a flower pot on top of our heads.
Oh my Lord, that's terrible. Well, anyway, thank you for the interview. I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck. Again, hopefully I'll get to see you guys live one day. But if you ever need any help with anything else, let me know and get a hold of us, and then we will do everything we can in our power to make sure that people like it over here.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks so much.
No problem. You have a great rest of the day, and take care, and I'll talk to you later.
You too, dude. Thanks a lot. It was great talking to you.
You too, buddy. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.